Welcome to another episode of the Wandering Watercolor. So today we are painting the second page of the Plants and Flowers watercolor coloring book. It's a book that I hand make. I do apologize for getting these videos out a little later. I was supposed to have them done by last week, but I was very sick. And I also ended up hurting my finger pretty badly, so that added to the delay. But let's waste no further time and start painting. So this is the second page, and basically it's just a bouquet of tulips. And I always suggest just to have obviously your brush, a scrap piece of paper, a place to mix your colors, usually just like a little soap dish like this one, or a regular porcelain plate. Anything porcelain or glass works great because it's easy to clean and easy to mix on top of. I suggest though that whatever it is, that it's white, just because it makes it easier to see the colors as you're mixing them. And then to the side over here off screen, I have 2 jars of water. I always recommend 2 jars just because one of them is to clean the brush and the second one is to wet it and remove any loose debris. And as always, just a little rag, cotton rag, or just paper towels, anything like that is fine. And let's start painting. So first I'm going to grab some water. Actually, the very first thing I will do is I'm going to wet my paints. That always makes it easier to work with them. If you don't have a little spray bottle like I do, just wetting your brush and then putting the water on top of the paint so it can kind of absorb it always makes it easy. And sometimes if you put a little too much water like I just did, some of your paints will blend. Easy fix though, no problem. So basically we will start by adding just a little bit of shading to the vase that's holding the flowers. We're going to imagine that the light is coming straight up and down, like it's coming from up and striking down towards the object, so the shadows will be mostly underneath. So yeah, we'll grab a little bit of the light blue and then a little bit, very little bit of the black. This black, if you're using my paint, you know that I strive to make very vibrant, very saturated paint. And if you're not using my paint, any paint is totally fine. Just kind of play around with the colors. That's why it's always good to have a little scrap sheet on the side. This is too dark. I want it to be much lighter, so I'm going to pick up some of this color with my brush and then rinse it off. Grab some water, add water in here, kind of dilute it, lighten it up. Adding water makes the color much more, the pigment more transparent, so it lightens it up. But I also want it to be a little more on the light blue side, so I'm going to pick up a little more of the light blue, kind of mix it in. And there's too much pigment in here, so I'm just going to pick up more and then just replace it with more just straight water. And I want it to be very light, because I want to kind of give the suggestion that the vase that's holding the flowers is either glass or just kind of like a light colored porcelain. Let's see. So that's fine. That's a good mix. And if you're using a different type of paint, obviously it won't look the same, but you get the idea. So first we're going to go ahead and lay down just a straight flat wash like this. We're going to leave this edge up here white just so that we can show the highlight. And then we're going to run down just down one side. We're going to run, actually, I'm going to do it down both sides of the groove of the vase. There's 3 grooves. So, and down each side of the groove, we're going to run a little bit of a color just to show that there's shadow there. Because usually whenever you have grooves in anything, there's a shadow there. And then a little bit down here just to show a little more of the curvature. And I messed up here a little bit, but that's totally fine. Don't worry about it. And same with you. If you mess up, don't sweat it. Just keep going. Obviously, it's a learning process, but also with watercolors, a little bit of chaos adds to the character and interest of the painting, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Always keep that in mind. Now, we'll go ahead and we'll grab some green, mix it up really nicely, and we'll grab some water, and then we'll go ahead and we'll grab a bunch of yellow. This is going to be a very nice yellow-green base that we will put for the stems and leaves of the flowers. So we'll go ahead and it's just a flat wash. We're not adding any detail. We're just going right in, and wherever you see leaves or stems, go ahead and apply the color. Hopefully my brush isn't blocking any of your view here. And go ahead and grab it, go in just flat, just don't even worry, just go ahead and just distribute the green, almost like you're coloring it in with a marker, except you're using a brush. And if there is some variation in the marks or texture of the color that you're putting in, again, don't worry about it. I'm afraid that if I keep saying don't worry about it, it'll make people worry about it. So I'm just going to stop saying that. So yeah, just kind of do your thing. I guess don't overthink it would be a better thing to say. And some details here. Okay, so we laid that in pretty quickly. Nice and easy. Rinse off our brush. And next we can go ahead and lay in the base color for the orange. So we're just going to grab some orange, add some water. It doesn't have to be too much. The base flat wash for the orange tulips, we don't want it to be too strong. That's just about right. We don't want it to be too strong, but we don't want it to be too weak either. So this is just perfect right there. Do a couple of strokes on your scrap paper. It'll help you kind of practice before you start putting them directly onto the paper. Unless you just want to do that, which there's actually a lot of artists that don't even mix their colors. They just go directly from the palette to the canvas or paper. And you can get more blending and kind of like interesting mix of colors that way. But for these pieces, I'm making it a lot more, I guess I would say, organized. In the future, I will do some demonstrations of other techniques. But this is just basically getting kind of like the baseline. And obviously, you're more than welcome to just paint however you want to. You don't even have to follow these tutorials if you don't want to. So we got the flat wash in there for the orange ones pretty quickly. And next, we will grab some purple. And we don't even need too much, just kind of like that with a little bit of water. This purple, if you're using my colors, again, it's very strong. I always strive to make really vibrant paint. So we'll go ahead and we'll just lay the base wash right there for that flower. And this one is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of complexity other than the detail that's in the center, which can make it a little confusing, but when you add the color, it really separates out the different objects, and it makes it easier as you proceed through the painting. And add some there, and always feel free to step back, pause, and step back from the image. let's see, so that's pretty good. I don't want to add any more purple anywhere else. So I'm gonna bring out another plate here just so I have more space to mix colors. And I'm gonna go ahead and clean up some of my yellow because I had gotten some of the green in there. And that happens, that's normal, it's fine. If you end up getting one color into another, it's really easy. Just pick it up with your brush, rinse it off, and then keep going. Okay, so I'm gonna get a good amount of yellow here. Kind of build it up. And get some water. Okay, let's see. Yep, that's good. So we will put yellow on this one right next to the purple one. Since these two are complementary, they'll help each other. Well, the purple will help the yellow pop out. We'll do another one right here in between these two purple ones. I'd say that looks pretty good. And remember, again, this is just a straight flat wash. You're not doing anything else other than just getting the color where you want it to be. Also, feel free to switch around the colors. You don't have to follow exactly as I placed them. If you want to change it up a little bit, that's fine. Okay, all right. Clean off our brush. And now we'll get to the red. So I'm going to pick up a good amount of red. Put it right here. Now red can be a very strong color, so I'm going to dilute it with water. Put a lot of water in there so that it doesn't come out too strong, because first we're just putting the base layer. And the base layer should be lighter. Now there are techniques where you just go full intensity and then you pull with water the color out of like a really intense deep color that you lay down full of pigment. But that's a more advanced technique that we will discuss at another time. So okay, I'm gonna put the red in this tulip right here. You can see some of the colors are running into other colors, but that's okay because adding shadows will allow us to kind of change some of that and distract from that as well. So don't worry about it if that happens to you. Like if some green runs into one of the flowers, or some yellow, kind of like here, runs into some of the purple. And excuse me if my voice sounds a little weird. I'm still getting over last week's cold or whatever that was. Okay, so we just have to finish this one right here. And that one, I think I kind of made 3 of each, huh? 3 orange, 3 red. I didn't even do that on purpose. I think I just did that automatically. So what I'm gonna do is, for this one, I'm gonna make it a little bit of like the odd man out. So I'm gonna get a little bit of brown, a little bit of purple, kind of make it like a almost like a little kind of like purple reddish, just so that it's not the same as any of the other sets of 3, because I have what, 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 3. Interesting. And then we'll add this one in here. Granted, you could color it just like any one of the other ones if you want to. So don't feel like you have to do what I'm doing. I want it to be just a little different. Okay, so that's good. We'll rinse off our brush. I'm going to put just a little bit of a color just to suggest a base that the whole object is sitting on top of, so it's not just floating out there. And the way I'll do that is I'll grab some of the brown, grab A little bit of the black, very little. Jeez, man, that black is strong. It's like you need so little to completely change any of the colors. Okay, let's see. Do a little bit. How does that look? I'm actually gonna add a little more. You know what? I'll grab a little bit of the dark blue here. See, that blue's too strong. Darn it. See, that's part of the reason why I like having this porcelain plate, is because I can experiment and see how things look before I just put them directly onto the paper. I mean, some people are really good at just mixing directly onto the paper, but and sometimes I like to do that too. It's just it's not the best whenever you're, especially for an instructional painting, just because you can get wild variations. Okay, I think that's fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put just some suggestions, just a little bit of mark, kind of like that, and then just kind of like drag it out, and maybe press against the paper a little more, just so you see the brush stroke dragging out of there, because it's almost like a vignette, like you're suggesting that there's more out there, but it's like fading out from the initial source of the image. Okay, so maybe like a wooden table or something, so that looks good. We don't have to do anything more with that. And go back to my other plate here. And I'll go ahead and I'll add, honestly, I'll add just a very small dab of the brown, maybe another dab, kind of mix it in here, another dab. Okay, and a little bit of the light blue. There we go. That's a bit much, but that's okay. So since we're going to add the shadows now, we want it to be stronger, so that's fine. Mixing it in like that. Okay, that's pretty good right there. So you see kind of how it gives you like almost like a green gray, kind of like it's honestly it's a bit too green. We want it to be more on the blue side, so we're gonna add a little more blue. There we go. That's like a bluish gray. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit, just a little bit, and I'm gonna add in the little arches here. I'm just gonna add a little more shadow, and then just follow down the groove just a little bit, so that you can get more of the suggestion of the shadow in there. Same over here, and kind of follow down a little bit, not all the way. There we go. Here as well. Okay, and step back, take a look at it. Cool. I am liking how that's looking so far. Now we will be adding more shading in the stems and leaves. So we'll go ahead and we'll get a good amount of green. And get some more water. Okay, get a good amount of green in there. Okay. More water. I want it to be highly pigmented so that it blocks out, make it more opaque, so it blocks out more of the white of the paper. And then grab a little bit of brown. Okay, that's good. That's a good, nice, good dark green. That's great. That'll give us a lot of definition for the shadows. So we're just gonna go slowly. Feel free to sculpt your brush, kind of like when you have a good amount of pigment and water on the brush. If you kind of take the edge of whatever you're mixing your paint on top of, just kind of go like this and kind of rotate the brush as you do that, because it'll help give you a better point. And we're just gonna go I'm just gonna go slightly, just give like an outline almost down here, like that. Maybe widen it out as you go down a little bit. Some strokes right there just to show that there's creases in the leaf itself. Completely block out that section for the, because there's a leaf and a stem back there, but they're covered by the shadow of this leaf right here. And then a little bit on the stem here, just some suggestion of a shadow for the creases in the leaf, like that. Same here, the creases of the leaf right here, just a little bit like that, and like that. Down here, same thing for these creases or folds, or just texture of the leaf. And then the entire length of the leaf right here, just to show that the form and how the shadow forms as the leaf curves. Same for the stem here, same for the leaf down here, like that. Okay, and then over here like that. Maybe this stem, just kind of cover like that. Go in here and back here as well. And for this one, and just kind of go slowly, and just imagine the upper part of whatever part of the flower that you're painting. Just don't, like, kind of leave the upper parts with the light green, and then whatever's underneath, try to cover that to give the emphasis of shadow. Okay, that's good. Put a little bit down here, like that. And also a little bit over here, that. And yeah, maybe also over here, just to show that curvature of the leaf again. Okay, let's step back for a moment. Okay, yeah, you can see the definition and the depth of the object really starts to pop out when we start adding the shadows. And next, we'll go back to our, well, let's see. I'll go ahead and I'll do the orange. So the orange, we'll grab more from this right here. And then we'll grab a little bit, just a little bit of that brown. The way that I make the palette is there's like a light brown and a dark brown and a light brown. The light brown is actually mainly there for mixing skin tones. And we're gonna need more orange. Okay, let's see, how does that look? Yeah, that looks pretty good. So now I'll go ahead and I'll sculpt my brush head again. And very easy, very nice and easy, just add the shadow down here like this. See how it gives form to the flower petal? That maybe just a little bit of like a texture right there. And then over here, and same with right there. Okay, and then the next orange flower right here, just like that, and maybe a little bit right there. And also the inside petal right here, just show some form and that it's behind the other petals so that it has some shadow. That looks good. We don't need to do more of that. And then this one right here, Gonna go ahead and just give a little bit of texture like that. And then this part will cover in shadow right here. Same with this petal. And we'll go more in the back here. And maybe just a little bit over here just to show definition. And maybe just a tad, just a very thin line over here just to show that separation between the two petals. Okay, rinse off our brush. It's coming right along. We'll go ahead and we'll get some of the dark purple. If you don't have purple or light or dark purple, it's very easy to mix if you don't have it in your palette. Just take some blue and some red and mix them together, and if it's too light, you can always just throw a little bit of brown in there and then just kind of sample and repeat to kind of get the desired color. So since this purple is so vibrant and deep, I'm just going to use that straight color directly for the shadow. So I'll go ahead and add a little bit here. And the inner petal. And then just down here, show the form. Maybe just a little bit over here for texture. And this back part of the petal wrapping around along with this one on the other side. And maybe also just a little bit right here just to make the front flower petal pop out from the background, or from the ones behind it. And then same thing right here, straight in the middle of this purple one. And then this petal like that, show some form. And some texture on this side, maybe some shorter strokes and the curvature, and okay. And also just back here, just a little bit, kind of like that. Give a little suggestion. Okay. And then grab some more of the darker purple. And then we'll go in right here, like that. And then show some form. And then kind of a little bit of texture, just a little bit, kind of like short strokes like that. And then pull up on the side of this petal like that. And then in the middle here, a little bit down here. And then maybe a little more there. I think that looks good. Okay, we can move on to the red ones. Go ahead and I'll grab a bunch of the red. I'm really gonna take a lot of red this time. Let's see. Yeah, that'll stand out a lot. And then kind of just to reiterate what I'm talking about for the getting those nice fine lines, I'm actually going to throw a little bit of brown in here just to kind of dull it down a little bit. Because I don't want the red to distract from the rest of the flowers. So I think that's fine. But what you can do is, what I'm doing is essentially, you see how the brush is a little flat? Like when you look at it right now, it's a little flat. If you go like this and you rotate it as you go like that, just rotate it on whatever surface you're using to mix, then what happens is you get a better point. So it's easier to get nice thin lines. So that's how you can kind of get some of the better or finer details in there. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and add in here There we go. Some lines just to show the creases in the flower petals. Like that. And back here. Okay, on to the next one. Go right back here like that. And over here. And back here. Also a dab there. So that looks good. And over here. Kind of an outline a little bit. Because we're trying to show the shadow would appear where the flower petals are receding into the rest of the flower. So we're just kind of like adding those in. Down here a little bit. Like that. And also a little bit over here, wrapping around the flower. Shows good form. That's good. You rinse that off. Get a bunch more of the red, or I'm sorry, the yellow, not the red. And get a good amount of water. Okay, grab all that, put it in, mix it in. I think I got a little bit of the brown from the last mix, or when it was right where I was mixing right next to it. It kind of ran in there. That's all right. I was actually going to use a little bit of the brown in the yellow to get a nice shadow tone. Okay, gonna grab a lot more of the yellow. Okay, that should be good. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll add right there. Obvious shadow. And then a little bit here. And then a little bit like that, maybe. Some in the middle of the flower just to show all the different petals that are stacked one behind the other. And that's good. Also, don't worry about making it perfect. You could just kind of add a little bit of a suggestion. Sometimes that's enough to get the point across. It doesn't have to be super realistic. You could add a little bit of kind of like expressionism in there. Maybe just more of just strokes as opposed to the details themselves. Okay, and down here as well. A little bit in there, like that. Follow the curvature of the flower petal. Okay, it's all looking good. So the very last one is just this one that we mixed, which was a little bit of purple, a little bit of brown. We'll go ahead and we'll get that brown again, a little bit of purple. I need more water on my brush. There we go. Maybe a little bit of dark blue. There we go. Okay, it's a nice dark color. We'll go ahead and we'll just add that in. Go like that. A little bit of texture on the flower petals, a little bit in there, kind of outline right there. Okay, dry my brush and let's step back, see how it looks. Yeah, that came together pretty good, pretty quickly too. So you can go ahead and stop there if you want to. It's a totally finished piece. I just want to make it pop more, and this is just a personal preference. You don't have to follow it if you don't want to. But in order for me to make it pop more, I'm just going to outline, not all of it, just in certain areas. Most of it I will outline just to give a better contrast. That's the word I was looking for. Better contrast. Let me see, I'm just gonna mix, and I'm just using straight black. Some people don't like this technique just because, you know, they think it ruins the natural look of the watercolor painting. And that's fine if that's what you're going for. I just, personally, I'm actually slightly colorblind, so I really like it when there's hard definition and vibrant colors. So that's why a lot of my paintings actually end up looking a little cartoony, because I always amp up the outlines and contrast and colors. So it's just mostly a preference thing. So what I'll do is basically, again, I've sculpted the tip of the brush to a nice point, and I'm doing, there we go, right there, maybe a little bit in the creases of the leaf, a little bit in here. And it's actually a lot easier to get a nice straight point if you go directly up and down. I just don't want to be blocking the camera the whole time. So hopefully you can see just fine. A little bit down here, like that. Like that. And if you go slower, obviously you can get some really fine details. I'm just kind of going faster, since I think you get the point of what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to finish this piece. Like that. Like that. Yeah, some of this is gonna run just because the paint didn't finish drying completely on every flower, and that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. Okay, a little bit like that, that. There we go. Maybe add some creases here. And you can already see, like the right half of the bouquet, it just looks so much more alive to me when you have that level of contrast. And some people will tell you that you don't have to, like, you shouldn't paint with black, and it's just a preference, honestly. Like, there's plenty of great artists that have used black to emphasize or add contrast. It's totally fine. Honestly, as long as you're enjoying the painting process and you like the finished product, what more can you ask for? And so far, I'm loving how this is looking. I'm very happy with it. Okay, a little bit of that. Kind of like that. I'm just going along here, adding some details. And grab a little bit more of the black. Just kind of lay it in there. That. A little bit of texture. There we go. And maybe even a little bit over here. Emphasize where it's really dark based on where the light is coming from. And let me step back. Oh yeah, that's good. I am very happy with that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully all of that made sense. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will try to respond to them within 24 hours. And I might even do a separate video or a short video if you have any specific questions about technique or how something was done. Because I know I kind of go over the things pretty quickly sometimes. But hopefully, yeah, it all clicked. And also feel free to tag me. I love seeing, like on Instagram, sometimes people will tag me. I love seeing what people make. But that's pretty much it. And I will have another one either later on today or tomorrow. I'll try to have the rest of these up by Friday. I'll see you next time.